Hello and welcome to Round Robin. I'm your host, Robin McCormick with the City of Hampton's Communications and Marketing Department. And today we're going to tell you a little bit about a daycare center and preschool initiative, and it's really unique. Not just within the city of Hampton, but it's an unusual place and special place. My guests are Cecil Overton and Melissa James. Welcome.
Thank you.
Now tell us about the Downtown Hampton Child Development Center, because it really is different than most of your other child care centers.
Well, there's several factors that really make us different from your standard daycare. Number one is our quality. We are nationally accredited. We're one of very few centers on the peninsula to hold that status. We're accredited by the National Association for the Education of Young Children, which is commonly known as NAEYC because that's so long. That places us in the top 7% of child care centers in the country.
Wow.
So we're very proud of that. Our teachers have college degrees. We have top-rated curriculums, which Cecil will tell you about shortly. The other unique factor that makes us stand out is our sliding scale tuition rate. So instead of just paying, a flat fee that most centers have, which is if you've paid for childcare before, it gets very expensive.
It does.
Our families pay based on income and need. So that sliding scale is available to anybody. There is no requirement to be a part of our program. Anyone can come and apply. The spot does go in priority to those who need it the most. That's the way we make that determination. And we have about 200 children.
200. That's great. And you guys are located, used to be downtown, and now you're at what was the Mary Peak Center for years, or Mary Peak School. I guess it's changed a few times over the years. But you've been there for a little while now?
We've been in that location about
2
or 3 years. But we've been our program's been around since 1971.
Right, I know, that's just amazing. And you're a United Way agency, so you're a nonprofit, which is different, and makes it a little bit unique. And that is, I assume, what allows you to offer the sliding scale is you have those United Way contributions.
Absolutely, that's a big part of our income, as well as grants, as well as our partnerships with the City of Hampton, Hampton City Schools, a lot of different foundations, individuals, churches, the whole community just comes together to help these children. And we like to say it takes a village to raise a child, and that's the case for us.
Well, I'll tell you why. I used to work at the Daily Press, and we had our United Way thing every year. And every year they would bring in the same agency, and they would bring in your little kids, and they would sing and, talk to us, and everybody would go, all these hard-hearted journalists would go, "Aw," and they would open their wallets because the kids sell your program.
Yes.
They're just amazing. But obviously, it takes some special training and curriculum to get them to that point. How do you do that?
Yes, it does. Well, we spend a lot of time in training for whatever the needs are that our staff has to keep them abreast of the various activities that they should be doing with children. I do some of the training in large group or with individuals as that's needed. My own background allows that to happen since I've spent about 38 years in the early childhood area.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and we are a 4-star rated center with the Virginia Star Quality Initiative, as well as a nationally accredited center from NAEYC. As a result, we have to continue to make progress with curriculum and strategies for getting our children ready for what's to come after they leave us. So whether they're an infant or a 4-year-old who will be entering kindergarten, most likely in Hampton City Schools, we provide them with educational opportunities that prepare that whole child intellectually, physically, socially, and emotionally to deal with those kinds of things that will happen once they hit the kindergarten doors. We also want them to be very well-rounded children, so we use programs like Al's Pals to help them know how to be real good social people within our society, whether they're with us, with their parents, or with someone else in the greater society. We want them to be able to do what would be expected of any child within our community. We also want them to make great progress next year in kindergarten, those 4-year-olds that will be leaving us. And we think that our curriculum opportunities have certainly provided them with the right kinds of activities for that to happen.
Well, I think, one of the things that is amazing is that you do provide this very high quality accredited program to low income families. Typically, they don't have access to the same quality as the people who can afford to pay more have.
Absolutely.
And it also creates that mix where you don't have just pocket of poverty kids or just kids whose parents were college educated. You have a mix of the kind of society that the kids will face when they grow up and face when they go to schools.
And it's amazing just to see them all interact together because, as staff, we know the children's stories, but they really don't. Both of my children have gone through the program, and our one just finished today.
Oh, congratulations.
So this is my last day as a parent at the center after 7 years. So I can say firsthand just how amazing it's been for what I've seen my children do, the friendships they've made, the way that they learn from each other and encourage each other.
Our society right now, our community in both Hampton as well as in surrounding areas, certainly is reflective of a great deal of diversity. So it would make sense that the preschool address that as a part of what we want children to learn, again, about working within the community and moving in and out of the various kinds of activities where they will meet other people who are different from them, but who are also very much like them.
Mm-hmm. I know, when you're a 2-year-old, you have a whole lot in common with other 2-year-olds, and the backgrounds don't necessarily matter as much, but you can learn and share and expand your horizons a little bit. Because a lot of these kids are, it's their first exposure to being outside the home. And it's a pretty intensive exposure if you're in a relatively full-time daycare setting.
But you watch them come in at the beginning of the school year. We get a lot of 4-year-olds that come to us for the first time at age 4. We have
like mom has stayed home or they've been in a home daycare situation,
Right.
and the parents are getting them prepared.
And we do testing with them. We have a pre-literacy test that we do at the beginning of the school year. Some of the classes we have a very specific math testing we do, and we also have developmental checklists. So we see where they are socially, emotionally, physically, intellectually. And then when you compare that with the end of the school year, which we just got those results out and we're looking, it's a big increase. I don't have the numbers off the top of my head, but it's about between 40 and 60% increase overall, average from the children. So what they pick up in just 1 year with us is huge. And the ones we get sooner, or we can have them when they're infants or when they're 2 or 3, we can do even more. If you walk into our infant room, the things the teachers are doing in there, we have other centers that come to observe what our teachers are doing so they can take it back and learn from that. It's just Cecil can kind of speak to some of the things they do in there.
It is very amazing to walk into the infant room and see what's happening as the teachers work with the children, and it's almost like seeing the growth happen right there in front of you. 2 amazing adults working with them and giving them, again, the appropriate activities that are developmentally what they should be doing, yet at the same time challenging them for the next benchmark that they should be reaching. And you walk down the hall to a 4-year-old classroom and you listen to a teacher having a conversation with children using vocabulary that is both age appropriate but advanced, so that again they are learning how to function within the language that we use, and therefore when they start to write their own stories or tell their own stories, they have the information that they need in order to do that, and they can take it farther than what we would typically think of a 4-year-old doing. And that's because our teachers are well trained. We have high expectations of them. We have high expectations of our children. We expect a year's growth to happen every year, if not more. And if we have some children that are struggling, then we look at the kinds of things that we might also be able to do with them. Or we look at ways to work with our parents more to assist them with working with their children at home. In the last couple of weeks or so, I've been getting the summer camp curriculum ready. As a result, we're not dropping what we would typically do in a school year. We're adding on to those things so that the children that are staying with us, the new children that are coming to be a part of our program for the summer, will still be getting an academically based program along with all the fun things that children should be doing during the summer too.
And that's good too for them to be physically active, to learn those skills early, to get some healthy eating. But, you know, to have fun learning.
Yes.
Because you want them to enjoy books. You want them to learn to explore and discover things and do hands-on activities. And it's fun. You know, I don't know when kids get turned off on education or school, but those young kids love it. It's, exploratory.
It's also the parents get turned off on education. A lot of the parents at our center and programs that have the clientele that as some of our population, these are parents who did not have a good experience in school.
Right.
And so their predisposition toward education is not what it would be with some of the families you'd see elsewhere. So we have a very concerted effort to involve the parents early on, because a preschool is not really a threatening environment.
Right, that's true.
We get them comfortable coming to volunteer in the classroom and coming to do these fun activities so that becomes habitual. And once they've entered elementary school and middle school, they're already invested in their child's education. So helping the whole family is a big part of what we do too, because that child will be gone from us soon, and they'll be with their parents, until they're 18 or more. So that's very critical.
Now, how do your kids do when they get to public school and kindergarten? How are their reading skills, compared to some of the other kids?
Well, I'm not 100% sure of that because I'm still the new person on the block. My best guess from having worked in one of the Hampton City schools where some of the children may have come to is that they certainly fare as well as any other children that are coming from other programs, and that, again, they have a good start to being ready for kindergarten, which is a very different place now than it used to be too.
Yeah, I know.
It's due to privacy concerns. We're not able to, we'd love to be able to track the
of
children as they
course.
move on, but we are able to get anecdotal evidence from teachers.
From parents who bring their next kid
Yes.
in.
Absolutely.
Obviously, those kids did well. And I think, that those early literacy skills and just opening them to reading to them helps set a stage for them staying in school and doing well in school. It
Sure.
makes such a difference to
Sure.
what their possibilities are when they grow up.
Well, you mentioned the hands-on learning, and that's actually very key to our learning philosophy. Everything is play-based. We don't do worksheets where they sit down and have to copy things. Everything.
They shouldn't at that age.
It's not age appropriate, but it's very common, and it's what a lot of the kindergartens do, which is a struggle for us because that's we want them to be ready for how that's going to be in kindergarten, but we want to do what we know is best for them, and so we mix it up a little more toward the end of the year. But everything is fun. They don't even know they're learning a lot of the time. We've had parents tell us, well, my child came home and said he just played all day. And we say, yep, that's what he thinks. Ask him.
Exactly.
Here's some questions to ask him, and you'll find out how many things he learned.
Right,
And that's why it is fun for them to come every day. It doesn't feel like a drudgery or something they're dragged to do.
Well, it's wonderful. Now, if we tell more people what you guys do out there, though, isn't that just going to increase the waiting list and increase the demand for your center?
That would be great.
Yes, it would be, and it might allow then for us to look at expansion opportunities,
Okay.
if that's possible.
Be careful. There might be
Yes.
people knocking on your doors
Sure.
after this. Because I think
great.
actually a lot of people downtown and people I work with are familiar with it, but I'm not sure we might be opening up a whole lot of people or grandparents out there who are watching, who want to help their grandkids. It's an amazing opportunity.
We're the best kept secret in Hampton, which is not our goal. The Mary Peak facility is fantastic. It's got this gigantic playground, bigger than you'll see at any child care center, nature trail, and they've got a cafeteria and gymnasium. You won't find a child care center with those things. The drawback of our location is that you don't drive by us unless you're going to Y.H. Thomas facility.
Right.
So making sure people know about us is a bit of a challenge as a PR director. So one reason we're so glad to be here today, so we can make sure people know that we're out there.
Good. Well, good luck. And,
Thank
I think it's a center that really enriches the whole city. And it's wonderful to have you guys. And you do great work. And I'll also put in a plug to remember the Child Care Center when United Way time rolls around.
Absolutely.
But thank you very much for coming. Go ahead and give your phone number so if people want more information, they can look at a website or a phone number.
Absolutely. Our phone number is 825-6200, and we also have an extensive website at dhcdc.org.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Melissa, and thank you, Cecil,
Thank
for
you.
coming. I've learned a lot more about your program, and I think other people will be very interested if they have children in that age range or children in their family in that age range. So thank you for watching.